Hello, a very warm welcome to the award-winning Birmingham Back-to-Backs. We have a very special behind-the-scenes treat for you today. We're going to be taking you on a time travel journey. With us we have this set of special keys, and each key opens a doorway to a family and their story in a different date period. Come along on this time travel journey. The back-to-back houses were built in the turn of the Industrial Revolution to house the mass number of workers. By 1901, there was over 500,000 workers in and around Birmingham, and cheap housing needed to be developed, and fairly quickly. We're currently now in the 1840s house. The Levy family lived in this house. They were a Jewish family, originally from London and Farringdon to be more precise. They moved to Birmingham because you could work from home in Birmingham without having to pay a trade guild licence. And professionally, Mr. Levy made clock hands. We're now loosely in the 1870s, and the Oldfield family lived in this particular house. And during the 1870s, we had gas lighting in each of the houses, oil lamps still continued, and the major things were oysters. Although it's an expensive piece of food now, back in the Victorian times, or when the houses would have existed, it would have been one of the cheaper means of food. Mr. Oldfield made glass eyes for a living. We're now in the 1930s, and in this particular house, Mr. Mitchell lived here, and by trade he was a locksmith. So during this particular date period, electricity had arrived in the court, but also we had water supply, and Mr. Mitchell will have had a tap and a water supply into the house itself. The Birmingham Back-to-Backs was saved thanks to a gentleman with the name of George Saunders, originally from St Kitts in the Caribbean. He had a very long lease with Birmingham City Council as a tailor and had a front of house shop on her street. And it was because of that lease the place could not be knocked down. I'm going to now pass you over to Charlotte, who's going to tell you more about George Saunders and his shop.
The clothes and items here tell us so much about fashion and taste in this time and place. You know, you can look at the pleats in a trouser, and we've heard people say it was so important to get it just right if you were going to a particular dance or blues party. It was so important for the mods to look really sharp when they were going out for the evening. And we have that all captured here in George's collection. Here's George talking about some of the adversity he faced and how he overcame it.
There was an advertisement for a tailor in the city of Birmingham, and I decided to write an application for the job. And a letter came back to me saying that I am just the man that they're looking for. Please come for an interview. I got myself nicely dressed up with tie and everything like that. And I went in to see the man. The man looked at me and said to me, "The vacancy is gone." I was dumbstruck. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And he said to me, "I told you the job is gone. Get out." So I walked away.
As a migrant to this country, George can really help us understand the adversity that he and people like him faced. But George was very successful, very enterprising and engineering, and he soon set up his own business in the 1970s. We've now moved upstairs into George's workshop. What you can see here is a recreation of how George may have worked, and we created this with George and with his family. But one thing to bear in mind is that originally George operated from 2 or 3 of the buildings here on Her Street that are now part of the Back-to-Back museums. So this would have all have been open, and it would have been a whirring hive of activity with all the machines going.
From 1974 to 2001, we were very, very busy. We didn't advertise. Just one person tells the other, and it just built up like that. I have people coming up for me to make suits for them from London. In the latter years, we made clothes for the Queen's Guards.
George's skill as a tailor has really been acknowledged by his clientele and by his customers, who've told us about just how wonderfully his clothes fit. We're really fortunate here at the Back to Backs. So few museums and heritage sites have objects that relate to what we might call the Windrush generation. So that generation of migrants who came to places like Birmingham from across the Commonwealth. Thanks very much for joining us on this behind-the-scenes tour of the Back to Back. It's only thanks to your continued support that we can care for special places like this.